junkies out there, I invite you to spend some time with me. I'm Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen Podcast Show. The show does start now. I'm your host, Johnny Allen. This is the Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. Welcome to March 19th. And with all the news going on about the coronavirus, you probably forgot or didn't celebrate St. Patty's Day. So happy belated St. Patrick's Day, rather. I can understand that. The tensions are high right now because of this pandemic worldwide virus that's going around. And I do work in the healthcare industry, and we are concerned about it. We do take precautions. We are very busy right now, extremely busy. And it's wearing. It's only been like really a couple weeks into it. This is the first week, and it's very wearing on everybody. But I'll get into that in a minute. If you're the first time a subscriber or viewer, thanks for joining today. Thanks for liking and subscribing. You can see me on Facebook under the same title, Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show, and YouTube as well under the same name, Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. Like I said, it is Thursday, March the 19th. What else is special about today? And I think we got to do a little good news since we got all this bad news lately about the virus. Today is actually the first day of spring, so that's good news. So spring brings warm weather, which brings hopefully I call it the Godzilla virus. People call it the coronavirus. I call it the Godzilla virus because it seems to be big and bad, stepping all over the world and taking everything out in its path. But is it really? Not really. It is pretty risky as far as we've talked about it several times. I've heard, I know you've heard everything there is to know about it probably. And the thing is, they're still figuring things out. The experts are. They're still learning it. They're learning it on the fly. It's a story that keeps evolving. It just forever evolves. And that's just the way it is. And I'm wearing green for the belated St. Patty's Day. I had kind of a laid-back St. Patty's Day because everything's shut down, locked up, frozen. Can't go nowhere. Can't do nothing here. Carry out food only. Bars are done for a while. All this, and hopefully it is temporary. I'm sure it is, folks. But like I said, it still causes anxiety. It still causes depression and worry. And even as strong as I've been trying to stay with everything, I'm battling a little bit of anxiety, depression right now. Actually, a little bit, trying to curb it. If you don't have your coffee, get your coffee out right now. Take a drink. Sunday, I went for a walk. I usually do a lot of walks anyway, and it's a good time to walk. It was actually pretty nice on this past Sunday. It's kind of weird about the weather, wacky weather as well, too. I mean, Saturday it snowed here. We actually got maybe a couple inches of snow on the ground. By Sunday, it was melted, almost up to 55, and very, very nice spring-like day. So the transitions of the seasons are happening right now as we speak. But anyway, like I said, the big news right now is coronavirus everywhere. We've had, like I said, some viruses and plagues in the past that have been really bad. Actually, worse than this one, really, as far as some of the Spanish flu and things like this. This one is more recent, and a lot of people the young people haven't experienced anything like this, so it's all new to them. The thing that's really weird about this time around with this pandemic is the shutting down of everything. Now, I understand why they're doing it. But it's kind of scary that the government can just say, you know what, you're done. You shut the business down. You can't really leave your house unless you got to go to work or go to the grocery store. The grocery stores are a mess because everybody's like just, draining the shelves. Now, the other day I did stop at the store on the way home from the job, and it wasn't so bad. Still didn't have any toilet paper or anything like that, but it wasn't as bad. It seemed like they're getting the shelves full. But people panic and they freak out, causes the anxiety, the depression, and the worry. Let's try not to do that. Let's try to be smart about it. Now, I did say I mentioned a walk. I'm going to share a clip of the walk that I did, and I'll share that clip with you actually right now, and then I'll be back. Hey guys, Johnny Allen here, Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. Listen, this is Sunday, March the 14th. I'm out doing my everyday, or every other day actually, I try to get out and walk in the woods. We had a lot of snow yesterday, which was kind of neat in March. And
Anyway, I'm out here today just to share with you the nature thing that I do. As you guys know, I'm no stranger to Sean James. This guy's channel up there in Canada. Someone I follow quite a bit and admire and like his philosophies and whatnot. You guys know about that, especially if you've been following me for a little while. But I'm at Eller Park right now walking some trails. And the one thing I wanted to talk about is this fear of the coronavirus right now. I did get to the grocery. I went Friday morning, and it was amazing how many people were just bombarding the store. I mean, it was just really crazy. Now, my whole thought on this is, does the CDC and does the media place tons of panic into our public and society? The answer is yes, they do. We should be aware of what's going on. But at the same time, I think they put a lot of fear into people. Now, the question is, do they do that on purpose? Or is that just something that they just... Hey guys, this is me again. Evidently my phone got a little picky and said I had too much stuff in it. But where I left off, I think it was like, does the media do this stuff on purpose? And I believe they do. And I think that this should inform us on things, but at the same time, I feel like they're placing fear. Now, why they're doing that, I don't know. But I think we just all need to kind of take a few steps back and kind of calm down. And my whole thought is about this anyway, is that, everybody's mobbing the stores, rushing to the stores and in a panic and buying everything out. And the problem is you got a big crowd. They're trying to eliminate big crowds because big crowds spreads the virus, or chances to spread the virus more, right? So if everybody would stop doing that and just basically go as normal, little bitty waves of people going in at a time like normal, go in and get what you need, don't have to stock up, get a little bit of what you need and get back out, not as many people are going to get infected by this virus, right? But no, everybody gets into big panic and they all flood the stores, and you got a bunch of people waiting in line and they're all coughing and stuff. You're going to spread the disease further that way and faster, right? So just use common sense, people. That's all I got to say about that. Use common sense. And you know what? We're all going to die of something anyway. I'm not trying to push death or anything like that, but we're all eventually die. We can't stay away from the disease totally. You can't isolate yourself forever. You're going to come in contact with people unless you live in the far corners of the world, right, where there's nobody around. It's just almost virtually impossible. So, we just need to stay calm, carry on, use precautions, wash your hands, all the good stuff that we're supposed to be doing anyway. Take care of yourself. But like I said, I'm out here in the woods today, and you can see behind me is the creek, right? So the creek is really nice. Nice water flowing back there. Check that out. It's nice to get out here and be one in nature. So thanks again for liking and subscribing to the channel. Like I said, I'm doing a Sunday walk, and people's lighting up on the toilet paper thing. All right, it's like, really, it's just crazy. It's really almost a joke at how many people are going to act like they're never going to get it again. And do you really need toilet paper anyway? Did people have toilet paper 200 years ago? Not really like we have today, right? There's other ways you can do the same thing with other means without toilet paper. So it's just crazy what people put their priorities to. I mean, we're in a society now where a lot of people are ignorant to the truths and what's going on, and they just buy into all the hype in the media and all this. They say the sky's going to turn red tomorrow, and they'll believe it. And it's just I don't know. I've seen things change a lot since, especially 1970s. But that'll be another podcast. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Just sharing a little bit of the walk and a little bit of the trail here, guys. Just gonna walk over here to the little creek. Like I said earlier, this is what we need to be doing anyway. So whenever you get a chance, get out and enjoy some of this. I'll be quiet and let you guys listen to the nature at work here.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that little clip. I do like to go on these walks. It's good to get out in nature And whether there's a pandemic or not, it's always good to just soothe the mind, soothe the soul. Just kind of, if you're worrying about things, it helps with that. It really does help with me. And I think it's healthy. I think if there's anything good that comes out of bad stuff like this coronavirus thing, it might be good that people can not have to depend on going out and to the restaurants and things like that. Maybe they can go back to nature a little bit. I'm not saying it's a good thing because it's going to tear the economy up, obviously. But the point I'm trying to make is I think it's nice that people kind of maybe slowing down a little bit, staying at home, slowing down. The hustle bustle. I mean, it's weird where I work. I work in a healthcare institution, a big hospital, and it's basically a ghost town in there. There's nobody there. Most people are working from home and stuff, but it's kind of eerie. But in a way, on the flip side of it, it's kind of refreshing because it's quiet and the hustle bustle has slowed down. We've got a time out. We're relaxing a little bit, not from the coronavirus, but we're relaxing as far as our travels and had to get up and move and all this stuff to grind. So maybe a little good can come out of that. I don't know. Comment below whatever you guys think about that. Just kind of my thought for the day. I got a few notes today on the show. Like I said, happy spring. It's great. Spring is here. It seemed like the winter went pretty quick. It wasn't a bad winter. It wasn't too bad at all. Now we get this coronavirus out of here, and I'm looking forward to the summer and things picking back up and things getting back to normal. One other thing I'd like to add a note to that, rather, is I think it helps us to appreciate the quote-unquote normal when something like this comes up. Maybe we won't take so many things for granted. I'm always talking about that quite a bit. I never take anything for granted, folks. I don't think you should. Things will pop up out of the blue. I mean, look how fast this came up on us. Always never take anything for granted and always appreciate every day you have on the earth. That's my note to you all from me today. And I always do that. And if you don't do that, start doing it. If you do that, continue. Don't ever take anything for granted. Enjoy every day. Enjoy every day. I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, happy coffee day. I got a little bit of the Irish creamer in here today because I'm still celebrating a little bit of the St. Patty's Day. And like I said, the missus and I just took it easy. We had a little bit of Bailey's coffee and said happy St. Patty's Day, and that was about it. Because we couldn't really go out and do anything like that. But I'm enjoying making meals at home. I do that quite a bit anyway. I don't go out and bar hop anyway, so it's not that part of it's really not a big deal. I do kind of miss the restaurants and stuff, but they will come back. One thing I'd like to add to the coronavirus thing is setbacks. Until this thing dies down, blows over, whatever you want to call it, calms down, gets out of here. We're having setbacks, right? We're having setbacks. So with my band thing, my music, both of the bands I'm involved in, setbacks. Haven't played with the Hopeful band since September because we're all afraid of things, and we're just trying to stay isolated. I mean, with me being in healthcare, it's probably not a bad idea for me to isolate myself from people anyway, even though I'm not sick so far, knock on wood. I've had some bouts of things, but nothing major. Like I said, praise the Lord for that. We hope to stay that way, right? My buddy down there in Austin, Chris in Austin, he's something else. He's a gentleman I've known for a long time. Smart guy, nice guy. Quirky sense of humor, though. Quirky. He's always had a quirky sense of humor since I know him. But Chris down there in Austin's like, last week I talked about the 401k, and I want my 403b to go back up and everything. He comments below, says, don't worry about that, man. Just worry about staying alive. Because you're older, this kind of thing. He's kind of right about that in a way, man. It's I would say it's scary stuff, but it's unsettling stuff. It's not like. And adding to this whole thing too, I talked to a couple of my coworkers the other day. Actually, a young lady, very smart young lady. We talked about real disaster. Not saying this isn't a kind of a setback, right? It's been a pandemic, a little bitty virus, a little bitty thing that we can't even see except with the microscope, right? It's causing so much chaos in the human society. Could you imagine if the nuclear bomb, God forbid, a big nuclear bomb would go off, how much chaos there would be? You talk about not having toilet paper, right? I mean, just think about that one. a real huge disaster a physical disaster, take a lot of stuff out. This is just a little thing where, hey, you got to isolate for a little bit. You got to kind of stay away from things a little bit, cover your mouth, wash your hands, all that stuff. We're just hoping it's going to, die down with isolation and quarantining everybody and restricting the travel. Eventually, this virus will die down because it won't keep traveling from person to person to person. Because the less contact you have, that's really the only way to destroy it, is have no contact. You can't help but have some contact, but it's going to minimize it. And hopefully with the warm weather coming along, it will go away. Now, people made fun of Trump about that. Said, when it gets warm and stuff, you really don't have flus and stuff like that. Well, you really don't, really, if you think about it. Flu season's in the fall when it starts getting cold. Not saying you can't get sick in the summertime. And I've heard a couple things about the virus. Like I said, this coronavirus. They're trying to figure it out. And I don't know if they got it down yet or not. They're still, like I said, in the process. I've heard things where usually really cold weather will kill viruses. And I heard that this one kind of likes the colder weather. Doesn't really affect it too much. And I hear that it does not like warmer weather. So with summer coming, hopefully that'll do it. We'll see. No one has the answers. No one does. But we'll see. But just hang on. Ride this storm out like the old REO Speedwagon song. Some of these younger people thinking, who's REO Speedwagon? Look it up on Google, We're just going to ride this storm out, and we'll get there. But don't freak out and start, come on, killing the stores is nonsense, people. I mean, it really is. I could talk about that for the whole 30 minutes, but I won't. That's just kind of crazy. One thought I had about the store, and I think I actually mentioned that in my walk, but I'll mention it again. Everybody's crowding the stores because they're freaking out. We got to stock up because we're going to be sitting in the house for a month, maybe 2 months, and at least a couple of weeks, and we got to stock up on groceries for that amount. So everybody floods the store, right? So you got long lines, you're waiting, and you got this huge crowd in the store with long lines, and you're having to wait in a huge crowd. You're having to wait in a huge crowd. What does that do? Common sense tells you they don't want you in big crowds when you're hanging around and people are sneezing and coughing on each other, right? But what do they do? What do we do as Americans? We get this huge crowd because we're panicking. But what we're doing is we're making it worse. We're spreading it worse. If everybody would have stayed calm with it and said, okay, yeah, I need to pick up a few things. Not everybody go at the same time. Just go as normal. Go in, grab a few things, not a month's worth. Don't buy $500 worth of toilet paper. Go in and buy a few things. It's going to last you for a week like you normally do. Get in there and get the hell out fast. Get in and get out. Less exposure. Common sense. I don't know. A lot of us Americans do not have common sense. And we claim to be this country of righteousness and giving and Christianity and all this stuff and, country of faith and stuff. But I tell you what, I see the faith when people panic is down the toilet. Down the toilet. They flush it down the toilet. No pun intended. With all the toilet paper, flushing it down the toilet. Right? I try to make it funny. All right? Flushing it down the toilet. No consideration for older people. No consideration for people in general. I actually heard there was fighting in a Walmart over the last roll of toilet paper. Now, come on. 200 years ago, would you use to wipe your butt? Seriously, to say it bluntly. What'd you use? What did people use back then to wipe their butt? Come on. It's just silly stuff like that that they freak out and do. And like I said, God forbid we have a real catastrophe, like a nuclear bomb or something go off, or the grid shuts down. People like my buddy I mentioned in the walk, Sean James, they're not saying they won't ever be affected by something like this, but they got the idea. They're far away from all this and away from people and the chances of him catching a coronavirus are nil. Unless he just happens to go and pick up a little supplies in the store in Canada and catches it. But if he's truly living off the land like he wants to quite a bit, or anybody else like him is truly living off the land, and they're not around, not everybody can do that, obviously, but you got to admire people like that. I had that thought process years and years ago. And the older I get, the more I think that may be the lifestyle I might want if I'm not too old to do it anymore. I don't think I could get the wife on board with that, though. That might be a challenge, but it's something to think about. So anyway, we're going to go, we talk about this coronavirus thing. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's getting probably tired of hearing about me, too, included. I know they've been really kicking my butt on the day job, big time. Stocking up. We're running out of place. We're running out of room to put stuff. We just, supplies. It's just, and we have a pandemic warehouse, so we're probably going to fill it up. But hopefully, like I said, it'll be gone. They're predicting May. It's going to be the peak here in the Midwest, in Indiana, and then it may dissipate after that. But I'm hoping that with all this isolation and everything, that it'll go down before that. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to kind of switch gears right now. I talked about the outdoor walks, which are good. Being one with nature is good. I've noticed my wife told me this week that our bluebirds came back, so that's great. Our bluebirds in the backyard. Just little things like that. Bluebirds, birds in general. It's nice to hear the birds singing, and it's nice to see things starting to bloom and bud a little bit. We've already got some trees starting to get buds on them. It's great. Spring is here. Today is the first day of spring, and it's also Friday Eve. Let's have another drink of coffee, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Like I said, that I just talk about everyday life situations. Right now, the everyday life situation is this freaking coronavirus. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started talking about it, I was kind of like, oh, they're blowing it up and everything, and they may still be blowing it up quite a bit. But it's kind of crazy how it's all evolving. That's all I got to say about that. So anyway, I'm gonna switch gears here. I'm gonna talk about something else. I've discovered this. Let's see, quite a while ago. It's kind of funny, actually. In a way, it's kind of flattery, and I take credit for nothing as far as like inventing things, because everything's been done. Okay, like I said, I'm switching gears now. I'm talking about trends, trend setting. Who starts the trends? People follow trends, stuff like that. Everything has already been done for us. I think people. If you think you've invented something, you probably haven't. It's probably been invented in the past, right? Well, when I talk about the trend setting, it's kind of funny how I find this, that if you start doing something that you like, other people, which actually is a form of complimentary, of complimentary. It's a complimentary form, actually. It's flattery. It's a form of flattery, really, is what I'm saying. And Eddie Van Halen used to say it all the time, using him as an example of a rock guitar player. Back in the day, he played unorthodox, and he never said he invented a hammer on a pull-off technique. Guitar players know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just his style of music that he plays on guitar, his style. Okay, he kind of tweaked things a little bit, kind of came up with his own thing, and then in the '80s, almost every pop metal band copied and nowadays it's like country bands are copying all these Eddie Van Halen type of style licks and things like that. And in an interview years ago, they asked Eddie about that, what he thought about it. He said, well, first, I used to turn my back to the audience and stuff because I didn't want other guitar players copying my thing and stealing my thing. And he goes, after a while, they caught on anyway. And he goes, now I just look at it as a form of flattery, And that's what I'm talking about today. It's like, okay, this is something that you like doing, and you've kind of started it, especially in your local community and around some of your peers or friends or whatever. They have a tendency to, if they like it, then they have a tendency to want to try it on their own, and more power to them. That's cool. But it is a kind of a trend-setting thing. For instance, I'll use podcasting, for instance. I'm definitely not the first one ever podcast. I've copied other people. Podcasting has been going on for a long time. Actually, they called it live broadcasting before they called it podcasting, but it's the same thing. And then they call it video cast, which is what this is. It's streamed on audio and video. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that it's just kind of funny that people that have never done anything like that, and maybe even kind of made light and fun of what you were doing, sometimes copy it. It's just interesting. Food for thought. Is there anything like that with you, and it happened with you? Comment below if you have any comments whatsoever on that subject. And if someone does copy your thing, do you like it or dislike it, or is it a form of flattery, like Eddie Van Halen says? I think it's a form of flattery. I just think it's kind of unique. Sometimes I think it's subconscious. I think people think, whoa, so-and-so's doing that. Hey, I think I might try to do that, Nothing wrong with it. It's just observation, kind of funny. I've noticed that I did this in an episode, early last year. When I first started doing my solo podcasting. Because I first started off, I was in a podcast show called Out of the Box with John and Tony, and I did it with my great good friend out there in Las Vegas, and we had a pretty decent show. To be honest with you, the topics started changing. We started kind of getting away from the format that we originally developed, and it was Tony's show primarily, and he wanted to go a different direction, and I wanted to, and he suggested I went ahead and go do my own. So I thought about it for a while, and I did. So that's the reason why I'm doing my own thing here. I love doing the podcast with Tony, but the point I'm trying to make is I've been doing the whole podcasting thing probably now going on about 4 years. Okay, so just celebrate the one anniversary of this one, and then I did about a year and a half, 2 years with Tony. So it's about 4 years. And then all of a sudden, it's like uh, it's catching on around here. Other people are doing it and stuff, and it's cool. It's cool. Uh, I'm kind of considering myself a little bit of a veteran of it, a little bit. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still not perfect by no means. You guys probably see that. I do usually do my podcast a little bit on the fly. I do script it a little bit. I have some notes here in front of me. I talk about the subjects I want to discuss. Talking points and things like that. I have, and I've done the same thing. I've copied from other people that I listen to that are more in the professional league than I am, and it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, there's nothing bad about it. It's just an observation that I noticed. So, trend setting. If you feel like you're setting a trend, or do you feel like you're in the trend? Do you feel like people kind of see what you're doing and copy that thing and say, "Yeah, I think I want to do that." So, comment below if you do that kind of thing. It's happened with me a lot with music, especially with my brother and I, because my brother and I are really a good super team. I consider us a really good super team. We've been working together since we were 8 years old, right? He plays drums and I play bass guitar. And if you're familiar with music, bass guitar and a drummer, they lock in. That's a great rhythm. You got to have that's a good rhythm section. If your bass player and your drummer lock in, that's a good rhythm section. That's what I'm saying. And Mike and I can't help it because we've been playing since we're 8 years old. So we should be able to lock in as far as the music rhythm section goes. And we do a really good job because, and I'm not just saying that like my wife says, toot my own horn. I'm not saying it toot my own horn. But I've worked with a lot of different musicians as well as Michael. We've worked with a lot of the same musicians, and they've all said, "Wow, I've had several guitar players just say, hey, we could just come in and fall in, and man, you guys are there. You make any guitar player sound good." And these are comments from them, not us. And we just say thank you and humbly walk on or humbly play. We just get humble and we play. We stay humble and we play. Okay, that's what we do. The coffee's really good today. It's a rainy. Been the last couple of days. Yesterday, today's been rainy. Today's actually kind of stormy. It's just stormy weather out there, and a stormy virus. I'm going to end tonight. Again, I appreciate all the likes and subscribes. Basically, what I'm reviewing here, I talked about the coronavirus, so you're getting a lot of anxiety from it, depression, worry about this. These things are natural. We try to keep them in check. I've been suffering with it myself. I'm not immune to it. My wife will vouch for you. I've had a little bit of worry and a little bit of not really panic, but anxiety, a little bit of depression, anxiety and depression, not so much worry, because I know eventually it'll go away. It's more anxiety and depression. What way to deal with that? A good way to deal with that is do what I did: go out for a walk, in the woods, even or in a park or something. That helps a lot to just get out of the house for a little bit. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Like I said, just use common sense on everything. Don't go out there and tear up the stores, grocery stores. People, come on. The toilet paper thing and all that. Come on. I mean, the whole thing is people tease too. Says, well, is really toilet paper going to stop the virus? And like I said years ago, they used washcloths and they just washed after you did your duty. The people that is real quick thought, and I'm gonna get out of here, guys. These people that are green, right? They talk about saving the trees and all that stuff. Guess what? Toilet paper is derived from wood, which is trees. You want to save some trees? Stop buying so much damn toilet paper. All right? Use a washcloth or something. Wash yourself up every time. People go, "Oh, that's gross, John." That's the way they did it years ago. They used to use leaves years ago. And I don't suggest using leaves. But it's funny. These people that are green and saving the planet, and we shouldn't use so much paper and all that stuff. And they're probably the first ones going out there buying all the toilet paper, if the truth be known about it, right? Anyway, stay safe out there. I hope you had a good St. Patty's Day. We know you couldn't go to a bar. Hopefully you still celebrated the luck of the Irish, Like I said, my family, more than half of them are from Ireland. I'm wearing the green shirt today. I love the Irish people. I love Ireland. I love everything about their spirit and everything. The same with the Scots. I got some English background too, but I really admire the Scots and the Irish. Tough people. Came over to this country poor and worked their butts off. They're hard workers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That might be another podcast, another show. Anyway, guys, enjoy yourselves. If you want to do something, whether you're a person of faith or not, you want to get rid of this virus, pray that it goes away. And I'm not trying to sound funny about that either. Just pray about it. Okay? And if you say, well, John, I'm not religious, I don't believe in that stuff or whatever, well, you might want to try. It doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt. Say a little prayer that goes away so we get things back to normal, or what they call is normal. We can get back to the hustle and bustle and all that stuff and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, have a good, like I said, good weekend. I'll see you guys next week, the good Lord willing. I'll see you guys next week on the Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. And remember, take it easy on the toilet paper. We'll see you next week.